All right. Okay, so we're back today. We got a little bit of a dreary day today. It was supposed to rain all day, but it hasn't really. Knock on wood. It keeps passing. The forecast is now currently clear for a while. It says it's supposed to rain right now, but it's not. So we'll see. As you can see, I got my buddy here behind me, Eric. He's on his Grom today, 2025 Grom. I'm riding on the 2023 Monkey. We are currently in North Canton, Ohio, heading out. Hopefully the weather holds up. Hopefully the weather holds up. It's looking a little questionable. It was supposed to rain like most of the day. So yeah, Eric and I, we've been riding a lot together. It's been super fun. I mean, riding together with anybody is a blast, but especially when you have two similar setup bikes with similar speed envelopes. We used to fly RC planes together, and flying the RC plane hobby and drone hobby, it's kind of the same way. You want similar setups. For those of you who aren't familiar with mini motos, Honda makes my bike, it's the Monkey, and it also makes his bike, the Grom. And they're basically very similar bikes, almost identical bikes, just in terms of the engine and the performance and everything. They're both 125cc fuel injected, a 5-speed manual transmission, little mini moto bikes. Just aesthetically, they look a little bit different, and then there's some minor differences in the way that they handle. Similar price, everything. They're very, very fun setups. So today, we're heading out on a mission out to Portage Lakes, which is up north of Canton, up towards Akron. And it's a pretty old little lake community. Still very active, lots of community there. Lots of history there as well, which is kind of cool, so we're gonna go check that out. It should be fun. But today on the ride, one of the things I thought would be cool to talk about is riding a small bike versus riding a big bike. Are big bikes better? Are smaller bikes better? And why I choose to ride what a lot would consider a very tiny, limited bike. It's been a long time coming for me. As some of you may know, I've ridden bikes since I was about 15 or 16 years old. My dad taught me. He had a Lightning, I believe it was a 650 BSA Lightning back in the day. And then later in life, he rode Gold Wings. My first bike was a 1982 Honda CM250, which was awesome, and really regret that we don't have that bike anymore, especially considering how dirt cheap they were back in the early 2000s. And after that, I got a 2001 Suzuki SV650, rode that. I had a bunch of friends that had sport bikes, and I rode theirs a lot, and ultimately ended up crashing my SV650, totaling it, and really never to ride again up until relatively recently when I got this Monkey. I would ride other people's bikes here and there over the years, but didn't own my own bike until I got this Monkey. And I proactively chose a smaller bike. Getting a little bit of raindrops here. Hopefully the rain holds out. So I think I mentioned earlier the RC hobby. For those of you who don't know, prior to this channel, I worked on a channel called Flight Test, which is still alive and well. Flight Test is doing great things over there. But it is a YouTube channel all around the RC hobby, specifically RC drones, RC airplanes, things that fly. And how does that relate to bikes? Well, one of the things I learned from that experience of really kind of, in a lot of senses, going all the way down the path of the RC hobby and really experiencing most things that the hobby had to offer, including beginner stuff, advanced stuff, intermediate stuff, high performance stuff, relaxing types of flying machines, you name it. You know, $20,000, $30,000 jets I got to fly. I got to do it all, at least more than I ever would have dreamed that I would have ever been able to experience. And the interesting learning from all of those experiences over the probably 8 years that I was there is that the fun doesn't always translate or correlate directly with the amount of money that you're spending or the amount of performance. This truck has balls. What's this guy doing? Oh, he's turning. All right, we're still going. Roundabouts are kind of fun when there's no traffic, but when there's traffic, they're not as fun. But anyways, the amount of money you're spending or the amount of performance that you're chasing after or that you've attained with your machine, it doesn't always necessarily correlate to fun. Sometimes it does, it can, but what I've learned from me personally, and this is probably different from person to person, is that the fun factor, there's a point of diminishing returns once you get so much. And oftentimes, if you keep chasing performance or the highest quality or the best whatever, fastest, greatest, biggest, smallest, whatever it may be, there's a point of diminishing returns. And honestly, that chase or that pursuit of quote-unquote greatness can oftentimes reduce the amount of fun. It can kind of ruin the hobby that you're so passionate about. And so I kind of had this idea when I was going back into riding motorcycles again, and the Groms and the Monkeys came out in the mid 2010s. I think the Groms came out around 2015, I don't know, something like that. And they caught my eye because of this experience that I had had with the hobby, and then also the experience that I had had crashing my bike. My 2001 SV650, yeah, I consider it a sport bike. I know a lot of the sport bike guys will probably laugh at that idea because compared to super sport bikes of the time, and especially today, it is not considered fast by a lot of people. However, that bike was fast as hell in my opinion, and a lot of motorbikes are, way more than fast enough to kill you pretty easily. That bike, if I remember correctly, my 2001 650, it would do 0 to 60 in like 3.2 seconds. Obviously, if you knew how to ride, it was faster than most supercars at the time, and like I said, it wasn't even considered a fast bike. So, considering all that, what's up, dude? When I decided to get back into riding, yeah, I wanted to make sure that it was something fun and also something that inherently kept my risk profile as low as possible. So the Grom initially, when it first came out, caught my attention, and then when the Monkey came out, I fell in love. Just the classic look of it. Dude, don't go down that road. I've done that before on the Monkey, and you have to get on the highway. Super sketchy. Getting a little bit of rain.
Yeah, I got a little bit earlier, but that looks nice and pretty clear over there.
Yeah. So yeah, when the Monkey came out, it really caught my attention, and I kept an eye on him. I think 2018 maybe was the first year for the Monkey, and I kind of kept an eye on him over the years, and it wasn't until last year, 2024, that I actually pulled the trigger on one. And so, for me, one thing that I learned about myself is that my younger self, I thought that I was interested in that performance and in that speed. It's real easy to chase numbers, whether it's cars or motorcycles or drones or whatever it is. It's real easy to look at spec sheets and look at performance sheets and really chase numbers. But over the years, what I learned about myself is the process of riding or the process of driving or the process of flying the drone is actually what I'm passionate about. It's not necessarily the speed. I enjoy accelerating, yes. I enjoy higher performance car, absolutely, for sure. But for me, that's not where the passion comes from. For me, the passion is slipping into that flow state, really kind of losing yourself in the ride, tuning out the rest of the world around you because you're focused in on riding. I love working the clutch. I love shifting gears. I love looking at traffic, looking at what's coming ahead, and really just honestly at a high level, I think what it is I love being present in the moment right here. Because as I've gotten older, that's one thing that I've learned is that really you don't have any control over the past, and you don't have full control over the future. You might have some influence. The one thing that you do have full control over is the present moment right here and right now. And so I think that's why I like things like riding a motorbike, riding a bicycle, driving my car, honestly mowing the lawn, any of those things, because it kind of forces you to tune out these ideas of the past and the future and really just focus on the present moment. And so I got 2 kids now. I'm an adult. I'm less of a thrill seeker and adrenaline junkie than I used to be. It's getting a little windy out here. And so when I decided I was thinking about returning to the riding hobby, I wanted to do it in a way that kept my risk profile as low as possible, so I knew I wouldn't be tempted to do crazy stuff, and inherently just riding this bike, it would keep me safer because the overall risk profile is lower. This bike, you're lucky to break 50 miles an hour, whereas like I said earlier, those sport bikes like what I had back in the day, it's not uncommon for those to do 50, 60, 70 miles an hour in first gear. It's pretty wild. So with the monkey bike, because it's so much more limited in its performance, I think it also requires you to be a bit of a better rider, especially when you're riding in traffic, or when you are going on longer trips like what we're doing today. It's about a 30-minute ride. I keep my GPS set to avoid highways, because you're not getting on the highway with one of these things, at least not stock. And even if you could go that fast, I wouldn't recommend it on such a small bike with such small diameter tires. So it makes you think ahead, it makes you plan a little bit, and also performance-wise, you really have to ride the hell out of this thing, even just to keep up with everyday traffic, which I like. You can go on 25, 35 mile an hour rides, and it's very fun and engaging because you're constantly shifting gears, you're downshifting. You have to wring this thing out very often. You have to take it for everything it has to make it up that hill or to overtake a car on a 2-lane road. A little bit of water here. They're also super small and lightweight. These bikes come in at about 200 pounds. So yeah, it's more engaging. Like I said earlier, I like working the clutch. I like shifting gears. And because this bike is relatively limited in the performance category, it requires you to do a lot more of that. Me and my buddy, who I'll probably have on the channel at some point in the future, but my buddy Josh, he actually has a modern day SV650, same bike that I crashed back in the day. But yeah, one of the things that we were talking about is we were riding together and I was shifting up into third and fourth, just riding through traffic, and he was pretty rarely getting out of first gear. Definitely no more than second gear. And he just, like, we came to a stop at a red light, he's like, dude, he's like, you get to shift so much. And I was like, heck yeah, dude, I do. I love it. Downshifting like that right there, especially with the exhaust, it just kind of never gets old. Stomping it down a gear sounds so good, feels so mechanical and tactile. The transmission on this thing and the clutch feel real great. Obviously, I have a pretty low bar because I haven't ridden modern performance bikes or more expensive bikes. But for me, I mean, dude, it feels so good. And my Yoshimura exhaust sounds great when I bring it down a gear like that. And so that being said, I think it goes without saying that I still have the utmost respect for the bigger bikes too. They're beautiful machines, and when you know how to ride and when you ride right, I think they are absolutely worth having. And who knows, maybe I'll return to a bigger bike at some point in the future. But for right now, the monkey bike is exactly perfect for what I was looking for in a ride. It has more than enough capability. In fact, the capability has continued to surprise me. How incredibly comfortable you can ride this thing for long periods of time. The range is incredible. You put 3/4 of a gallon of gas in this thing and you can go 125, 150 miles. That's a journey. That's an epic journey, especially when you're riding on all back roads. And it cruises at 45, 50 mile an hour, no problem. Super duper fun. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I just wanted to kind of share my thought process around bikes. Maybe you're thinking about getting a bike or you have bikes. Eric and I laugh because we ride around on these tiny bikes and we'll ride up to guys on big Harleys, high performance sport bikes, and they'll kind of look at us and look at their bike, look at our bike, and they'll kind of, you can see their gears kind of turning, like scratching their head, like, are these guys having more fun than me? Are these guys doing more with less? And it's kind of this feeling that never gets old. So thanks for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so. We're just now getting to Portage Lakes, so the next video will pick up right here where we left off. This is kind of like an ongoing series. So thanks for watching. Until next one, we'll see you later.